very hot August the 5th of 2019. These two people over here, Larry King and Rita Pangalangan, put a child in the back of a car and left it there for 5 hours and 41 minutes. So it was a hot day. At 11:15, when this all started, the heat index was already 89 degrees. It would get close to 100 by the time they ever got that child out of the car. And that was outside the car. That was out air temperature outside. Inside the cabin of the car, we reach a minimum of 118 degrees with a heat index of 135. So what happens when you put a child in the backseat of the car and leave them there for 5 hours and 41 minutes? They cook to death. They are tortured and they are cooked to death. The child's internal temperature, when checked by the coroner, is 109.9 degrees. And that's what we know. Because the thermometer doesn't go any higher than that. The child's brain gave up. The organs shut down. She had blisters all over her body. And she died in the back seat of that car. She died, the technical way, the scientific answer to that was hypothermia. You'll hear expert testimony telling you that the child died of hypothermia. But that's not why you're here. Because she didn't actually die of hypothermia. She died because those two people there treated that little girl like baggage. They didn't forget her. They didn't put her in the car and forget her. They put her in the car because to them, she was baggage. You see, the little girl wasn't like every other 13-year-old girl. She suffered from cerebral palsy. She couldn't walk. She couldn't talk. Her hands barely worked. She could not reach the car door to open it to free herself. She couldn't even scream for help. Not that they would have cared. She was totally dependent on other people for her safety. The other thing about her, again, not like a normal 13-year-old teenager, she couldn't be shipped off to go with her friends to the mall or something when Rita and Larry wanted to be along, or they wanted to do the things they were interested in. She had to be taken care of. She had to be watched and cared for. Or she had to be put somewhere out of the way. And on August the 5th, 2019, that place was the backseat of the car in direct sunlight. And what were they doing? They were high on meth.
Objection, Your Honor.
Objection's overruled.
Not only were they high on meth, they were standing right in the car. They were swinging on the swing. They were hugging. They were kissing, all of which you'll see. And they would go inside the house and stay there for hours. They would come out. Rita would smoke cigarettes. They would hug and they would kiss. They'd go back in the house. All the time, the child was literally cooking to death in the car. She was to them baggage. And they need to get out of the way so they can do what they need to do. The decisions we all make every day, most of us have choices. Most of us have the ability to make decisions, how we act, what we do. And those choices have consequences. Rita Pangalangan chose to put that child in that car. She chose to focus her attention on Larry, to talk to him, to kiss him, to hug him, to go inside with him. She chose to do meth. Larry, same thing. He chose to put the child in the car. And I say put, that's gracious. You'll watch it on the video and see how he puts that child in the car. Just like he would a suitcase. And he chose to spend his time outside the car and inside the house with Rita and hugging and kissing. And on meth. Those are choices that they made. and those choices have consequences. The only person in this case that didn't have a choice was Christina. She had no choice. She was totally dependent on somebody else for her safety. And they didn't care. And that's what this case is about. Now, my job is to prove to you this case beyond a reasonable doubt. What I've told you. If I don't do that, your job is to come back here and find me not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you after you hear the testimony, after you see the video of the case, after you see what happens with this child, to come back here and give us a verdict that speaks the truth. That this child died not because of any other reason. Sorry.
You have a matter of law at the appropriate time to look at.
The objection is sustained as to the solicitor's reference to speak the truth, and you're to disregard that reference.
When this is over, I'm going to ask you to come back and give us a verdict that says this child died because she was forgotten, because they didn't care.